Good morning or good afternoon as appropriate, and welcome to the Settingdown Creek Supplemental Watershed Plan Environmental Assessment Initial Public Meeting and Plan Scoping Presentation. I'm with Schnabel Engineering. Schnabel Engineering is working with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS, the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission, GSWCC, and the Upper Chattahoochee River Soil and Water Conservation District. The project team, which consists of the NRCS, GSWCC, and the Upper Chattahoochee District, to shorten the phrase, and Schnabel Engineering, are working on a supplemental watershed plan to evaluate dams and water retaining structures within the Settingdown Creek watershed, specifically dams 4, 6, 27, 54, 56, and 59, all of which are located in Forsyth County, will be studied under this agreement. The supplemental watershed plan is intended to develop guidance or a path to address compliance issues if determined to be present with any of these structures. In addition, this process is intended to determine if federal financial assistance will be available to aid in addressing compliance issues with any of the aforementioned dams. Finally, during this process, the team will determine if the project sponsors would like to continue operation of the dam within the NRCS watershed program. As a part of the planning process, this initial public meeting is intended to inform the public and watershed stakeholders of the ongoing efforts. During the planning studies, there will be a series of public meetings, with this being the first. In this initial or first public meeting or presentation, the following topics will be discussed or presented: a brief overview or history of the NRCS watershed program, a brief history or overview of dam safety within the United States with specific attention paid to the state of Georgia, general considerations for dam design, operation, and maintenance, an overview of the Settingdown Creek watershed with specific attention paid to the dams previously noted and included in the ongoing planning study. And at the end of the presentation, a website or link will be provided in which viewers of this presentation can provide questions or comments on the scoping topics and identify project opportunities and/or concerns. The history of the NRCS dates back to the 1930s. With President Roosevelt, the Soil Conservation Act established the Soil Conservation Service, or the SCS. The SCS was later changed, or the name was later changed to the NRCS, or the Natural Resources Conservation Service. And while the name has officially changed, the term SCS or NRCS may be used interchangeably during this presentation. The Flood Control Act of 1936 authorized federal participation in the original Settingdown Creek Watershed Work Plan. The Flood Control Act of 1944 authorized the NRCS to begin work on the first watershed projects. President Eisenhower later approved the Agricultural Appropriations Act of 1953, authorizing additional watershed projects. The NRCS is a branch of the Department of Agriculture. During the 1950s, the Watershed Protection and Flood Prevention Act was developed and adopted by Congress. This act gave the SCS permanent watershed planning authority and is partially quoted below. And I'm going to read the quote. Erosion, floodwater, and sediment damage in the watersheds of the rivers and streams of the United States, causing loss of life and damage to property, constitute a menace to the national welfare. and it is the sense of Congress that the federal government should cooperate with states and their political subdivisions, soil or water conservation districts, flood prevention or control districts, and other local public agencies for the purpose of preventing such damages, of furthering the conservation, development, utilization, and disposal of water, and the conservation and utilization of land, and thereby of preserving, protecting, and improving the nation's land and water resources and the quality of the environment. The Watershed Protection and Flood Prevention Act was the original funding source for most of Georgia's flood control structures. In total, there are nearly 12,000 flood control dams in the United States. In the state of Georgia, there are nearly 360 flood control projects. And within the county of Forsyth, there are 17 flood control projects. These flood control projects in Georgia extend from Colquitt County to Towns County, with the majority of the projects being north of Metro Atlanta. In totality, the watershed projects in the United States provide an estimated $2.2 billion of annual benefits by reducing flooding and erosion damages, providing for recreation and water supply and wildlife habitat. The law established a vehicle for federal and technical and financial assistance to be provided to local sponsors to plan and implement watershed projects. Small watershed rehabilitation amendments of 2000 added authority for rehabilitation. Projects eligible for federal assistance include flood mitigation, watershed protection, water supply, water quality management, agricultural water management, public recreation, and watershed structural rehabilitation. As stated previously, there are nearly 360 total watershed dams in the state of Georgia, the exact number being 357. Of these dams, 195 are considered as high hazard structures. The map on the right-hand side of this presentation depicts the location of the watershed dams within the state of Georgia. The NRCS designed these dams and funded the construction of these dams for flood controls. The dams are operated and maintained by local sponsors, with the NRCS providing technical assistance to the sponsors on an as-needed basis. Notable dam failures in the United States include Buffalo Creek Valley in West Virginia in 1972. The Charleston Daily Mail paper shown here on highlights some of the impacts associated with this failure. Teton Dam failure in 1976, in which this dam was actually designed by the federal government, resulted in the death of 11 people, the loss of 13,000 head of cattle, and resulted in billions of dollars of damage. The project construction cost in 1970s was approximately $100 million. Many people believe that the death toll would have been greater had this dam not failed on a Saturday morning. Depicted here is Laurel Run Dam, which is commonly known as the Johnstown Flood, occurred after midnight on July 19, 1977. This dam, which was only 42 feet tall, resulted in 40 deaths. Note that this dam has a height similar to the dams we are discussing within the Settingdown Creek watershed. A little closer to home, Kelly Barnes Dam in Toccoa, Georgia, failed on November 6, 1977. Similar to Laurel Creek, this dam also failed at night, specifically after midnight, and resulted in 39 deaths. Similar to Laurel Creek, this dam only had a height of approximately 40 feet. This is not to say that dam failures are a thing of the past. As recently as May of this year, Edenville Dam in Midland, Michigan failed. Depicted herein is a graph of the watershed dams constructed versus the year in which they were constructed. As you can see from the graph, the vast majority of the dams were constructed prior to what is referred as the current dam safety era, which is generally perceived to be the late 70s forward. Dam safety agencies include the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the NRCS, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the United States Bureau of Reclamation, and the Georgia Safe Dams Program, Department of Natural Resources. The Georgia Safe Dams Program began with the Safe Dams Act of 1978, largely in response to the Kelly Barnes failure in Toccoa. By definition, a dam is an artificial barrier in which, including appurtenant outlet works, which would include spillways, pipes, risers, etc., which impound or divert water. Specifically, the dams have to be 25 feet or more in height from the natural bed of the stream or watercourse, or, and that's an important distinction, or have a maximum impounding capacity of at least 100 acre-feet. Note that 1 acre-foot of water equates to about 326,000 gallons. To aid in the definition of an acre-foot, consider that 1 foot of water over the majority of a football field is an acre-foot. And the graphic shown on the screen gives a pretty clear description of what this amount of water would look like. In essence, the Georgia Safe Dams Program has 3 classifications: exempt or not even considered for regulation, which will not be discussed, Category 2, and Category 1. Category 1 are high hazard dams where improper operation of a dam would result in the probable loss of human life. Situations involving the probable loss of human life include occupied structures or facilities, not limited to residences, commercial buildings, manufacturing facilities, schools, churches, playgrounds, etc. Category 2 dams are structures that are large enough to be regulated, but where improper operation or failure would not be expected to result in the probable loss of human life. Briefly, I'd like to discuss the components of a dam. The principal spillway, in which many people call the drop inlet, is located in the lake. The principal spillway, or riser, or drop inlet, is attached to a conduit that passes beneath the dam and terminates into the outlet works, stilling basin, or plunge pool. The auxiliary spillway, which can be concrete or earth, is generally located in one of the 2 natural hillsides on either side of the dam, but at times can be located over the embankment itself. The upstream slope is the angled or sloping portion of the dam upon which the water rests. Engineers associated with dams consider dams looking in the direction of stream flow, so the downstream slope, or the dry side, would be opposite the upstream. The abutment is the contact upon which earth fill is placed against natural ground to form a dam. For the Settingdown Creek dams, or the watershed dams, the existing facilities have earth-cut auxiliary or emergency spillways. and have principal spillways or drop inlets or risers connected to circular conduits through the base of the dam. On the upstream side of these drop inlets or risers, there are gate valves that can be utilized to lower the water. The Settingdown Creek watershed is located in the northern portion of Forsyth County, Georgia, and is a tributary of the Etowah River. The watershed contains over 34,000 acres of drainage area or land that drains to the creek. The original watershed plan, which was prepared in 1954, provided for the construction of 15 water retarding structures or dams. Note that I said earlier that Forsyth County has a total of 17 floodwater retarding structures or dams. Therefore, the Settingdown Creek watershed has the vast majority. The map shown here on it provides an outline of the Settingdown Creek watershed. As shown, a small portion of the watershed extends into Cherokee County, and an exceptionally small portion of the watershed extends into Dawson County. To aid viewers of the general alignment of this watershed, the blue line on the right side or east side of the watershed is Georgia State Route 400, and the vertical white line near the north arrow is the boundary between Forsyth County and Cherokee County. The map shown before you depicts the aerial photography of the same watershed in 1963. As shown in this photograph, Forsyth County was largely comprised of agricultural activities, especially in this location, whereas today there are a significant amount of developments in the northern end of Forsyth County. For the supplemental watershed plan that's being developed, there are numerous focal points of the analysis. Provided below are some of the items that will be considered: upstream flooding, additional store capacity, downstream flooding, a potential breach zone should the dam fail in a catastrophic manner, hydraulic capacity of the existing spillway system, how the structure performs during various storm events, an evaluation of the economic, social, and environmental benefits, and then there will also be a review of cultural resources in the vicinity of each project. As stated previously, there are 15 dams in the Settingdown Creek watershed. The current study only consists or considers the one shown here on. As a refresh, we will be looking at Settingdown Creek dams number 4, 6, 27, 54, 56, and 59. These dams meet the criteria of definition for a Category 1 dam. Specifically, these dams meet the height and volume requirements of the Georgia Safe Dams program to be considered a dam, and failure or improper operation of these dams would likely result in the loss of human life. However, these dams do not currently have a permit from the Safe Dams program. In addition, previous assessments or evaluation of these structures indicate that the dams and/or spillway systems do not comply with the current rules and regulations for high hazard dams. Specifically, these dams are not exempt from SDP or Safe Dams program rules and requirements. One purpose of the supplemental watershed planning study, the ongoing study, is to evaluate whether or not federal assistance will be available to bring the structures into compliance with current dam safety rules and regulations. The Georgia Safe Dams program is aware of these structures and will be part of the planning process. For the Settingdown Creek watershed dams, some of the common features include none of these structures were designed as high hazard facilities. They were intentionally designed for flood mitigation with a secondary anticipated purpose of sediment accumulation and storage. Each of the structures has a reinforced concrete riser and pipe and conduit and a vegetated earthen channel auxiliary or emergency spillway. Please note that the term emergency spillway does not mean that there's an emergency if it activates. Auxiliary is a better term in terms as it's a helping spillway to help discharge flows from the reservoir. This is the same map we saw previously. As we walk through some of the specific details of each project, the specific watershed that contributes runoff to the dam in question will be highlighted. Settingdown Creek Watershed Dam number 4 is located in the northeastern corner of the overall watershed and is highlighted in yellow. Settingdown Creek Dam number 4 is located immediately east of Georgia 400 and south of Hampton Park Drive at the edge of the Hampton Golf and residential community. The structure was originally built in 1956 and has a height of approximately 34 feet. The drainage area or size of the land contributing runoff to the dam is on the order of 564 acres. The total capacity of the structure is shown at 307 acre feet, with the apportionment between sediment, flood, and surcharge storage capacity shown below. Depicted hereon is a 1963 aerial photograph of Settingdown Creek number 4. As shown, it is located in a largely agricultural area. The dam is located in the top left corner of the photo. Depicted here is a current photograph of Settingdown Creek Dam number 4. Dam is located in the same location. As you can see, there is significant development around the dam and reservoir, specifically to the north and to the east. And note the presence of Georgia State Route 400 immediately downstream or to the left of the dam. This is a photograph of the current condition of the dam taken within the last several months. The crest or the high point of the dam is shown as it's the riser structure in the upstream slope. The principal spillway conduit is highlighted as well as the plunge pool and downstream slope. Shown in the background of this photograph is Georgia State Route 400 and shows the proximity of this dam to a key transportation arterial within the county. Settingdown Creek Watershed Dam number 6 is now highlighted in yellow and is located to the south of Settingdown Creek Watershed Dam number 4. Dam number 6 is located east of Hopewell Road and west of Georgia State Route 400. This dam was constructed circa 1957 and has a height of approximately 33 feet. The area of land contributing runoff to the lake is on the order of 560 acres, and the project has a total storage capacity of 360 acre feet, with the apportionment of sediment, flood, and surcharge capacity shown below. A 1963 aerial photograph of the Settingdown Creek Dam number 6 is shown hereon. The dam is depicted in nearly the center of the photograph. And similar to the previous project, the land around the dam is largely agricultural. A current or nearly current aerial photograph with the dam shown in the same general location is shown now. Similar to the previous project, substantial development has gone on around the project. Depicted hereon is a current site photo taken within the last 3 or 4 months. The riser structure, crest, and upstream slope are shown. And a close-up of the downstream toe depicting the principal spillway or outlet conduit, plunge pool, and downstream slope are now shown. Note that this structure, like the other structures, were recently cleared of woody and other vegetation in preparation for this planning study. Settingdown Creek watershed number 27, or structure number 27, is located in the far western edge of the entire watershed on the boundary with Cherokee County, and is highlighted. The watershed for Settingdown Creek Dam number 27 is highlighted in yellow now. Settingdown Creek Dam number 7 is easily identified by the presence of Frick's Road that traverses or occupies the crest of the dam. This structure was constructed circa 1958 and has a height of approximately 46 feet. The area of land contributing runoff to the impoundment is on the order of 1,000 acres. The total design storage capacity of the project was 459 acre feet, with the apportionment of sediment, flood, and surcharge capacity shown below. A 1963 photograph of the Settingdown Creek Dam number 27 is shown here on, with the dam located near the top center of the photograph. Frick's Road is on or occupies the crest of the dam in this location, but similar to other dams, you'll note the agricultural or timber nature of the watershed and surrounding lands. Similar to the other projects, a current aerial photograph of the Settingdown Creek Dam number 27 depicts significant development occurring within the watershed. Current photograph taken of Settingdown Creek Dam number 27 on the last several months shows that this project has not been cleaned or removed of woody vegetation in the recent past. The upstream slope is shown to have trees and other woody vegetation, and the riser structure shown in the lake has other vegetation growing from the trash rack. The downstream slope of Settingdown Creek Dam number 27 is shown here on. You'll see the principal spillway conduit. Not shown in some of the other photographs are 2 corrugated metal conduits. These conduits are affixed to an internal drainage system to collect and convey seepage water that is occurring through the dam to the downstream toe. The next project is Settingdown Dam number 54. It is located at the eastern or right side of the watershed, but at the very north end of it, and does the watershed contributing runoff to this dam barely crosses the Dawson County line. The boundary for the watershed contributing runoff to Settingdown Creek Dam number 56 is highlighted in yellow. I'm sorry. Settingdown Creek number 54, I got ahead of myself. The next one's 56. Located north of the intersection of the Dahlonega Highway and Burris Road, Settingdown Creek Dam number 54 was constructed in 1954 and has a height of approximately 31 feet. The drainage area contributing runoff to the dam and impoundment is on the order of 1,570 acres. And the project had a total storage capacity of nearly 700 acre feet, with the apportionment of sediment, flood, and surcharge shown below. A 1956 aerial photograph of Settingdown Creek Dam number 54 is shown here on. Similar to other projects, this historic photograph depicts the watershed as being largely agricultural. A current aerial photograph of Settingdown Creek Dam number 54 shows significant development within the watershed, specifically on the eastern side adjacent to Hopewell Road. A current site photograph of dam number 54 is shown here on. The riser structure is a little closer to the embankment than previous projects. The upstream slope and crest are shown. The downstream slope of dam number 54 is shown in this photograph with the principal spillway conduit, downstream slope, and plunge pool highlighted. Now, for Settingdown Creek Watershed Dam number 56. This project is located immediately to the east of Settingdown Creek project number 54 and is located almost immediately west of Georgia State Highway or State Route 400. This project, as I said, is located west of Georgia State Route 400 and is immediately north of Hubbard Town Road. This project was constructed in 1954 and has a maximum height on the order of 37 feet. The drainage area contributing runoff to the reservoir is on the order of 618 acres. The total design storage capacity of this project is 283 acre feet, with the apportionment of sediment, flood, and surcharge capacity shown below. (1956) aerial conveniently of Settingdown Creek Dam number 56 is shown. Similar to past projects, the watershed contributing runoff to the dam is largely, if not entirely, agricultural. A current aerial photograph depicting significant development as well as the presence of Georgia State Route 400, which is on the right-hand side working from the bottom to the top, is shown here on. A relatively recent site photograph of Settingdown Creek Dam number 56 is depicted here on. The crest, upstream slope, and riser structure are highlighted. Note the presence of a residential development located along the shores in the top right-hand side of the photograph. The downstream slope of Settingdown Creek number 56 is depicted here. The downstream slope, principal spillway conduit, and plunge pool are noted. The final project, or Settingdown Creek Watershed Dam, in this planning study is Settingdown Creek Dam number 59. This project is highlighted in yellow and is located immediately east of Settingdown Creek Dam number 56, albeit on the east side of Georgia State Route 400. This project is located adjacent to Hampton Golf Club south of Glenhaven Drive and was constructed in 1954. The dam has a maximum height of 32 feet and has a drainage area of 1,155 acres. The design total storage capacity is 586 acre feet, with the apportionment of sediment, flood, and surcharge capacity shown below. Similar to the other projects, a historical aerial photograph is shown with the dam and the watershed contributing runoff being largely agricultural or forested. A current aerial photograph is now shown in which substantial development within the watershed is noted. Settingdown Creek Dam number 59, a recent site photograph is now being depicted. The crest, riser structure, and upstream slope are highlighted, and we request that you note the presence of the residential structures in the background. The downstream slope of Settingdown Creek Dam number 59 is now shown, with the principal spillway outlet conduit, plunge pool, and downstream slope noted. Now, For the scope of the supplemental watershed plan, the scope is defined as the range of actions, alternatives, and impacts to be considered in the environmental assessment. Scoping is used to identify significant issues that may be considered during a detailed analysis and to eliminate or vet issues that are not deemed as being as significant as others. Identification of scoping concerns begins with this initial public meeting. Scoping in general will solicit the involvement of federal, state, and local agencies, public interest groups, property owners, as well as upstream and downstream stakeholders. Issues and concerns identified through scoping will be addressed in the plan document. A summary of typical scoping concerns are highlighted hereon. Note that some of the scoping concerns, such as coral reefs, may not be applicable to the projects noted within Forsyth County. However, other scoping concerns, such as water use, threatened and endangered species, or cultural resources, may be very applicable to these projects. Project stakeholders are invited to submit questions, comments, or concerns regarding the plan development to the website shown below. Questions, comments, and concerns may be submitted by accessing the Google form, and questions, comments, and concerns will be accepted through Monday, August 17th of this year. During future public meetings, there will be additional opportunities to provide questions, comments, or concerns if this window becomes closed before you have the opportunity to submit your questions. I will leave this slide up for a few more minutes so that the website can be written down. We appreciate you taking the opportunity to watch this initial public meeting presentation and hope you're staying well during the COVID pandemic. Have a great day.